All right. Welcome to Making Business Personal. How you doing, Caitlin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So when we started this podcast, I just happened to look at my mail because I turn all my messages off when I'm starting something, and I see Caitlin Sarian has joined your Zoom meeting, and I'm like, I don't have a Zoom meeting with Caitlin Sarian, and I clicked on it because there she was on Zoom,
I was about
and
to email you, being like, I'm on
oh,
Zoom.
don't you hate when the person who scheduled the meeting is late?
I don't actually mind because I now give it. I originally, if you asked me 3 years ago, I would have said yes, but sometimes things happen.
Where'd you grow up? Did you grow up on the East Coast, West Coast, in the middle? Where'd you grow up?
West. I grew up in LA.
Okay, there you go. See, I'm a New Yorker, so when
Okay.
people are late, I have no forgiveness whatsoever.
Oh, I'm the same, but I've learned I still get a little antsy, and then like every minute I'm like, should I message them? Should I message them in my head? And I'm like, don't be a crazy person. Wait for at least 5 minutes, and then be like,
5 minutes.
okay,
Yep.
yeah. Within
So
the 10-minute mark, I'm upset and I'm off. Like if you're not on 10 minutes in and you haven't responded to me, then like we're done.
so I'm a 5 minute person, and for those 5 minutes, I'm like staring at my clock. I'm like, what the hell? 5 minutes. But then what I do is I spend the next 3 minutes composing a very kind message that says you're going. It's now been 8 minutes. So that way I don't send off anything at the 5 minute mark that might come across as hasty or upset. But at 10 minutes, I jet. I'm like, I'm done. But most likely it's because the other person has a very good reason. So I always tell them, I'm sure that your day's been crazy. Let's just reschedule. So,
I compose a nice email and then I confirm that it's nice through ChatGPT because sometimes I'm a little blunt, and especially when you're trying to like fire off an email fast, like you're not putting in all the niceness, you're pretty like direct. So I usually ask ChatGPT for a little bit of help when it comes to being a little bit more nice in my emails because I'm a very direct person. Like I'd rather have it cut straight to the point than all the extra fluff, and I realize that doesn't work for a lot of people.
my favorite part of our conversation so far is that you're my first cybersecurity expert that I've had on as a guest,
Oh,
and my
okay.
first cybersecurity expert defers to a machine for kindness.
Yeah. What are we gonna do? I actually, speaking of machine for kindness, I was with my sister and my cousin yesterday going out to dinner, and there's like the little robots that deliver food.
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay. They have like cute little like eyes and face drawn on them, and then they have like names like on ours. Like the ones in Miami are like, you can call me whatever. My sister gets so emotionally attached to these like little robots, and I had this like epiphany yesterday, being like, how are we already attached to these robots just because they have a name? Like my sister's like, because it was raining, and she's like, I feel so bad for them. They always get stuck in the rain. I'm like, they're robots. Like, what do you mean you feel bad for them? And she's like, it's just so sad. And I'm like, it's because we've like named them and like it's weird. I'm like, this is how weird AI stuff starts happening, is because we start feeling really emotionally attached to technology.
Uh, when How far back does your memory go? Can you remember 3 years old, or is it 5 years old?
No, my memory
Routinely.
stops like as of yesterday.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't.
So,
No, I'm kidding. But
but
I
you've
that
seen photos of yourself as a
yeah,
child.
yeah. No, I mean, I have like specific memories. Can I remember like a lot of stuff? No, but yeah, photos definitely like jog your memory.
Okay. And do your parents live in the same house they lived in when you were growing up, or have they since moved?
Yeah, I mean, I moved halfway between my childhood, so like when I was like 8 or 9, so they still
Okay.
live in that house.
Okay. And do you still have a room, or is
Oh
it
yeah.
something else? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. At my house, as soon as I left, after I graduated college, my room became my dad's library. My
Mm.
sister's room, which I called the shrine, stayed her room until she was in her mid 40s. Anyway, um, I harbor nothing. But the
I
reason I
mean,
ask you, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, my mom put. So I used to have like a half a room, right? And like they added on to the house like when I was in high school, so I ended up getting like a full room. Like they tore down a wall, and my room now still has a bed in it. But my mom, they bought a new house, and so they've taken a lot of the furniture. But they took furniture from my room to the new
Mm.
house, and they also added a like gym equipment. So there's an elliptical right next to my bed. So I'm like, my room is doubling she didn't do that to my sisters or my brothers, but my room doubles as a gym.
So here's how I read into that. And I'll get to my point in a second, but here's how I read into that. Your parents have more faith in you that you will survive in the wild than your brother and sister.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, there it is, right there. They're like, we could, Caitlin's gonna be fine, you know.
I think I was a very difficult child growing up in the sense that like I knew what I wanted and I was really stubborn. But like it was a good thing, but also, you know, as a parent, sometimes a stubborn child is not as fun. But I've always been like the one that's like, send me to boarding school. I want to go out and like explore. Like I flew the nest very early. I started a job when I like at 12. Like I wanted to start a babysitting gig. My mom was like, okay, if you're going to start a job at 12, we can't let you do that. But you can start babysitting when you turn 13 and you have to get like CPR and first aid certified. So at 12, my mom was like dropping me off at the local hospital getting certified. And on my 13th birthday, I like made with clip art, like remember clip art, you know?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
There was like a little dog clip art. Anyways, I made with clip art like a little flyer, and I on my 13th birthday like walked around the neighborhood and gave out my flyers to like, and then I had like 4 good babysitting. I loved working. I loved like learning. So yeah, I think my parents have known for a while that I've flown the nest.
A go-getter. We'll call you a go-getter. There you go.
Yeah,
go-getter.
for sure.
First of all, when I was a kid and we had babysitters, I could tell you factually speaking, they did not have CPR training. There's no. They knew the numbers 9, 1, and 1. That's it.
Yeah, I think my mom just wanted an excuse to like wait for me to wait till I was 13. Because she's like, you can't babysit at 12. And I didn't have any younger siblings. So I always wanted kids. I wanted I literally used to tell my parents I wanted 1 million babies, and I still want kids. But, you know, she was like, yeah, you got to get certified first. So I was like, yeah, at 13, I was like first aid and CPR certified. Who knew? I'm going
to tell you from experience. I have 2 small children. Shoot for just a little less than 1 million. You listen, I'm just saying, my wife and I, we're done at 2, so we're playing man-to-man defense, right? But I have friends who have like 4 or 5 kids. They're in zone, and it's crazy.
Scary thing.
So,
but unfortunately, at my age, I don't think I can have more than like 3, and I would literally have to start popping them out now. So it's looking like.
But 2. Wait till the podcast is over, because I don't have a parental advisory on my podcast, so don't pop anything out, like nothing. Anyway, the reason I asked you about your childhood is because when you were a kid, what was your toy of choice? Were you an action figure Barbie person? Were you a stuffed animal plush? What was your deal?
So when I was really little, I was like Dolly, like every doll. And there was like this really cool doll, I think, and I was like 2nd grade, where it had like a little, like you could feed it, like would talk back to you. You could like feed it. It would ask you it was crazy. So I was a big Dolly person. And then I was a weird kid, and like starting in like 3rd or 4th grade, I think 3rd grade, I asked my mom for a Palm Pilot. So, and I loved my Palm Pilot. I was
everybody did.
Organized. It was like the best thing ever. But I was a huge Dolly person. Loved American Girl doll. Loved like all. There was I'll have to like bring it up. I'll send it to you. But there was like a really cool doll where it would literally talk to you and tell you exactly what it needed. And you had like different foods. And then
do you remember what it was called?
It would go to the bathroom. I have no idea. But it was like, you would literally like
Oh, wait a second. I do remember this doll. As soon as you said it told you when it needed to go to the bathroom, I remember this doll. Now I'm a lot older than you are. So I only had 1 of them. But the point is,
a lot older than me. Okay.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I know I look young and churlish, but I just hit the big 5-0 this year. So
wow.
I know. That's what you're supposed to say. See, that's the reaction you're supposed to have. Wow, really? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So think of one of your American Girl dolls. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was its name?
Well, I only had 1, and it was named Molly, because that's what American Girl doll called it. I had Molly.
Okay, so Molly, great.
Yeah.
So my generation, we had Cabbage Patch Kids, first generation, and they came with names too. Okay.
Right.
So you had Molly. Imagine if Molly was animatronic, and she could follow you all over the place, and she was outside in the rain. Wouldn't you be like, oh no, Molly's getting wet?
I know. I would be mortified.
So, exactly. So we're conditioned from a very young age with toys and things like that we endow with human emotion, and just like dogs, we endow dogs with human emotion, right? They have emotion, but I don't know if it's human emotion. I don't even know what my emotions are. So when your sister sees the robot that delivers the food, which I think they modeled after Wall-E, to be honest.
They did, for sure.
They do that for a reason. It invokes in most people, not all people, but most people, an emotion of cute, of non-threatening, adorable. I had to drop something off this morning at a friend's house at like 7 a.m. And he's about 10, 15 minutes away. And I've never been to his house before. So I live in Southern California. So I'm in Manhattan Beach, drive to his house. He lives like 2 blocks from the ocean. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he opens his garage and out comes this little fluffy thing that resembles a dog. Okay.
Right.
Now my dog is 85 pounds. He's a monster. This thing is like, it's this tiny little thing and it's adorable. It's just adorable. And it looks like a stuffed animal. And I instantly loved this dog simply because the way they trimmed its hair. And so we're conditioned to love these things.
I mean, you can, so I even feel bad and I'm like, what's coming over me? But like, I feel bad too. And then they say stuff like if they get stuck, they're like, hey, I'm stuck. Please help me across the street. It's like, it's crazy. I want to help. It's a freaking robot. But but I mean, it's the same thing like with, I don't know if you've seen, so we're a big cat family and my dad, we had a cat for like 24 years. Like growing up, I got it when I was like little. The cat lasted.
Are you sure it was the same cat?
It was the same cat.
Okay. All
Crazy. Right. Even like the vet was like, and we like never took the cat to the vet. She was like totally fine. She was half indoor, outdoor cat. But so my dad like got really addicted to the cat, obviously. And then the cat died after that long. My brother got a cat and my sister got a cat. And so then everyone kept coming home with cats. And then there was always like one cat at the house. And now my brother moved to San Diego. My sister's here in Florida. And my dad is like so sad without a cat. And my mom was like, there's absolutely no way we're getting another cat. Just, it's not happening. Like we want to travel. I don't want to have to worry about taking care of the cat. And so he got my dad one of those like animatronic cats. And it kind of works.
Hey,
he's like, obviously he's not like really old, but it like does a little bit of the job, you know?
This is a question in psychology. And, you bring in a dog and is the dog there for your emotional needs or are you there for the dog's emotional needs? And when a dog is getting very old and has surgery after surgery after surgery and the dog can barely move and people want to keep it alive, that's not for the dog.
No, I know.
That's for you, right?
Yeah.
And so if there's something that your father needs that's emotional, psychological, and that animatronic cat solves that need,
he just likes to
fantastic. There you go. Fantastic.
It's crazy.
But also, I think there's a flaw in your logic. Isn't the point of a cat that you can travel? Just leave it food and water and it's fine?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the point of a cat?
I mean, that in my opinion, yeah. My sister does not leave the house without, like, she can't leave more than 2 days. She feels, my sister's like I always used to say, like, she has like the heart of God. Like, I don't know how she has so much love for everyone and everything. Like, she starts crying, seeing people like, homeless on the street. And like, she's just so caring. She's also about to have a kid like within like a week. So it's going to be great. But she cannot leave her cat. Like she feels awful. I'm like, Courtney, it's a cat. Like, I'm sure the cat actually really enjoys you not being there. Like, you'll be
if
okay,
only
but
the
she
cat
cannot
felt
leave
the same way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a couple months ago, we lost one of the great actors in American history, Gene Hackman. He passed away. He was in his 90s. His wife, 30 years younger, they think that she passed away first. And he had such dementia, he didn't realize. So she had been passed for, I think, at least 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And her dog died too, because the dog stayed next to her and died of starvation. And I was talking to my wife the other day. I said, if it were a cat, they would have showed up. That cat would have been very well fed. It would have been, hey, what took you so long? You want a piece of this? Because your cat doesn't care about you. It doesn't care.
I won't tell her that, but I mean, she thinks her cat cares. Like she's one of those. I mean, I think it's because she hasn't had a kid yet, so like her cat was her kid. But she had like all of the cameras everywhere around the house. Like every like 10 minutes when she leaves the house, she's like looking at the cameras, be like, oh, where's the cat? I'm like, I don't know. Who cares? Under the bed? I have no idea. But she just really, there's people that like hers that just really care.
And they
I wish
should,
I
and
had
it's
that
great.
capacity.
Yeah. When my wife was pregnant with our daughter about 4 years ago, my wife loves our dog, Atticus. She got the dog for me. But when she got me Atticus, I had my first ever full-time job. I didn't have my first full-time everyday job until I was like 38 years old. And I was
Right.
the president of a college. That was my first job.
That's great.
And so
I
so
love
I was
that for
gone.
you.
Yeah, so I was gone all day. Like I'd leave at 7:30, 8 in the morning. And if I had to attend something after school, sometimes I wasn't home till like 10 o'clock at night, right? And Grace would come and bring me lunch and she'd hang out. You know, people called her the first lady of the school. It was great. Anyway, so Atticus really took a shine to Grace, even though he's supposed to be my dog. She was home with him all the time. So when she was pregnant with Everly, she says to me, she goes, I'm worried that I'm not going to love Everly as much as I love Atticus, because she loved this dog. She still does, right?
Right.
But then the second Everly was born, she's like, Atticus, get out of the way. Like she's yelling at the dog, because there's a difference. You think that you know what love is.
Right.
And then you have a child and it's like, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Got it. That's what they were talking about. Although sometimes I wonder, would I be happier without my children? No, I'm kidding. I joke. I kid.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure every parent wonders that after long sleepless
just
nights.
wait 20 years and you'll
Yeah.
be fine. Well, I mean, who knows? And I have friends who are in their 30s who still live at home. So who knows?
So I'm like mortified. So I've always wanted kids. I'm still gonna have kids. Hopefully, God willing. But as I've gotten older, I've started realizing, because like you think like, oh, kids, like you raise them till 18 and then they're off on their own.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
You have kids for the rest. I mean, obviously you have kids for the rest of your life, but you're literally parenting for the rest of your life. And like there's so much life, like lives, it's hard. And like my family's gone through like mental health and like physical health. Like my sister is fine now, but she was going through chemo. And I'm like, I can't even imagine being my mom or my dad having to see your little girl like go, like the amount of emotional, like a roller coaster that you go on as a parent, and it doesn't ever stop.
Never.
Is what mortifies me. You don't realize that as a younger kid. Like when you're in your 20s, you're like, yeah, I want kids. But like as you get older, I'm like, this is getting scarier and scarier, because I know how hard that will be. I don't even know. I can imagine how terrible it would be, just like having your kids go through life and like you're wanting to try to help them and protect them, but at the end of the day, you can't do anything. Like I'm a control freak. I want to be able to do, like, I want to like get in there and like fix the problem. And me having to be able to like release and watch and like try to help, but like from behind a glass, that is mortifying to me.
You got to let them fall. It's the hardest thing in the world, I highly doubt my father listens to my podcast. If he does, I'll find out because of what I'm about to say. But I highly doubt he listens to this. Years ago, my dad and I were having a heart-to-heart, and we haven't had many of them.
Yeah,
and we're having a hard time. I love my dad.
To do, honestly.
Well, it should be, but it should be.
It should be,
and
but it's not.
Yeah. So especially when you were born in 1946, and you have emotionally stunted parents and stuff like that. Like he had everything going against him, and yet he is like one of the most successful people I've ever met. So I love my dad. He loves me. However, that being said, we have a heart-to-heart. And my dad, he has no illusions or delusions. He said, Jay, look, I give myself, I think I was, past tense, I think I was maybe a C as a dad. And so I was telling Grace about this, and she goes, wait, when does your father think fatherhood ended? Like, does he think that fatherhood ended at like when I was 25 and now he's stuck with that C? Like, you can improve the grade. Like I'm still your son. But
yeah, like
I think to
you
your point,
like grandchildren.
And you
still need to be a dad.
Yep.
Some way.
To your point, a lot of people believe that your job as a parent, and who says they're wrong? I mean, I don't know, but your job as a parent is let me get them through a specific age, and we'll decide what that age is, and then you're on your own, and then we're friends.
Yeah.
Right. But before Grace and I had kids, because we did have, we thought getting married, yeah, we'll have kids. But then after like 4 years of marriage, like we kind of really love our lives. Do we really want to have children? I travel the world, you travel the world. And she would come with me. She'd come with me to the Maldives, to Paris, to, it was great. So we decided, okay, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. But our philosophy is our children are not being asked to be born. We're bringing them into this world. That's our choice. Therefore, we owe them everything.
Right.
Whereas my parents' generation and their parents' generation believed, I gave you life, you owe me your life. And that's a big difference in philosophy. So, especially with the world now, I saw that I'm gonna write about this in my newsletter next month. So I might as well just say it now because this isn't going to be released until after that newsletter comes out.
Or post view.
So, do you remember there was a show called Married with Children in the 80s and 90s?
I watched it all the time.
Great. Okay, so Ed O'Neill played Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Al Bundy was portrayed as an overweight, fat, poor guy. Overweight, fat, and poor. He was a shoe salesman in a mall.
Yep.
But he owned a house and he was in the same shape I'm in now. And so back in the 80s, being poor was owning what would now be a $500,000 or $600,000 house.
Yeah.
That's how much the scales have been tipped. And so that's why I believe more than ever, raising children is harder than ever because they're facing such an uphill battle. The goalposts are being moved back by the day, and it's harder and harder.
Well, and like education, like who do you trust with your kids? Like there's a whole slew of things. But I'm sure they said similar stuff, back in the day. That they had their own issues, but they probably, I don't know if they weren't as big. But yeah, it's a crazy thing to be a parent. I'm excited, but I also like, especially being in Armenian, our culture, like you live with your parents until you're married. Like that's how it used to be, and it's still a lot of Armenians still do it. And then like when your parents start getting old, then you start taking care of your parents. It's like a whole cycle, and it's just a lot to think about. It's kind of freaky.
Well, yeah, and people have succeeded with less than you have.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I've been so blessed.
It's scary because it's something you haven't done before. Confidence is built from repetition.
Yeah.
I've done this so many times, I'm confident. If you're confident you're going to succeed at something that you've never done before, that's arrogance. That's not confidence. So, but it brings something up. You said, with all the things today, you said maybe they happened before, but today. And that's a great segue into what you do. Because today we're very aware of what's going on in the world. When I was born in the mid 70s, so I'm a child of the 80s. That's my upbringing. Yeah. All of these terrible things happened in the 80s, but they weren't broadcast around the world. No one knew. Yeah. You didn't know. There wasn't a 24-hour news cycle. There wasn't social media. So horrible things were happening, but they either get swept under the rug, or no one just reported it. So I met you at RSA last year, and the great and wonderful, powerful Lynn Dome introduced us. Lynn, who is, I got to have her on the show because Lynn's awesome.
She's the best.
Yeah, but finding an hour where Lynn Dome is available it's easier to get an audience with the new Pope.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing some work with them at the end of the summer. So maybe we'll do a live interview. Like we'll do it in the same room. But anyway, so we met last year at RSA, and you were introduced to me with like these incredible, Jason, you got to meet Caitlin. And then afterwards, people were like, oh, how do you know Caitlin? So you are the cybersecurity girl. Yeah. That's who you are. You are the cybersecurity girl. And that's security is important because you don't want to be the cyber girl. Like that's important, having that security in there. Yeah. But that's not how you started. No. You didn't say after you got your Palm Pilot, you didn't say to your mom, okay, now that I have my Palm Pilot, I want to be a cybersecurity expert. So how the hell did that happen?
Through the grace of God, honestly, following my heart at the end of the day. But I mean, yeah, I loved school. I loved learning. I loved challenges and problem solving. When I was going to college, my parents were like, you should do engineering. And I literally thought absolutely not. I am not a man and I'm not a mechanic. I thought they were trying to get me to do like a car mechanic job. That's what I thought engineering was, because again, we weren't born and raised in an era where there's social media. I had no idea what that looked like. All I knew was that engineers, in my head, what I pictured was a man. And it wasn't because anyone told me it was a man. It was because like what we saw in books, and honestly, it's who led STEM classes and or STEM, clubs in
Yeah.
my high school. And I was good at math and science, but I was definitely not as good as like the men in my class, to be
Well,
completely
wait, what?
transparent.
Back up. What did your parents do that they said to you, you should be an engineer?
So my parents didn't even know about engineering until my cousin Kelly went into school for engineering. And they were
Ah,
like, "Oh,
cousin
like
Kelly.
is I yeah, my cousin Kelly. Shout out to cousin Kelly. She um went to USC and she was doing biomedical engineering, and so my parents started doing more research on it because my dad is a lawyer. My mom was like kind of an accountant, and she obviously quit to raise the kids. And so Armenians are like lawyer, doctor, or like bust. Now they're like lawyer, doctor, engineer, or bust. They're very kind of traditional with
It's
their
the
stuff.
same with a lot. That's the same with a lot of cultures. It's the same in
Yeah,
India. India, it's just reverse. It's doctor, engineer, lawyer.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we have a lot of engineers in our family. My grandpa was a doctor. My Kelly's dad was also a doctor. So we have a lot of like amazing, smart people. But again, like just because Kelly went into it, I was like, yeah, but like it's all men. Like I just never even thought, I didn't understand that concept. So I said no. I went into school as an elementary education major, and like six-ish weeks in, I immediately changed my major because I met a bunch of female engineers and met men that I related to. Like we were both in math class, and I was like, oh wait, this is engineering. Okay, maybe I'd be interested. I ended up falling in love with engineering. And then while I got my master's in engineering too. And then when I went to go find like a full-time job, I was like, I had done 3 internships all in different areas. I worked at Chevron as oil and gas. I worked at GE in alternative energy. I worked at Abbott in pharmaceutical supply chain. And I was like, I just can't see myself here for like the rest of my life. And at this point, I kept like all of my like family members, they're kind of, you stick with your career and you stay in the same job. Like you stay in the same company until you retired. That's what I
Yep.
knew. I mean, my grandpa didn't even retire. He died at 95, and his funeral was his retirement party because he absolutely
So
loved
his
what he did.
on his tombstone it said retired.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Nice.
So like that's what I knew, and I was like, I can't imagine myself being here for more than like 5 years. I think I'm gonna get bored. So I was like, let me apply for tech consulting. And I had a similar situation where I was interviewing and some lady was like, "Hey, would you be interested in cyber?" And I had that gut of like, absolutely not. I had to take 1 coding class or 2 coding classes in school, and I barely passed. And I didn't want to tell her this. Obviously, I was wanting to get the job. And I was just like, I don't know, like maybe. And then the next interview with her, I was like, let me just say yes, because I realized and noticed it was that same gut reaction that I had from engineering. And I obviously was wrong about that. So I said yes. And I had gotten a bunch of other job offers, and I talked to my parents about it, and like, you know what, you can always change if you decide you don't want to do it. So I went into cyber, and I found that like I was completely wrong with the opinion I had of cyber.
Which
So
was what? What was
which
the
was,
opinion?
I thought it was like an introverted male in a hoodie that like hacked.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong.
This is pretty wrong, honestly. Like there are so many areas of cybersecurity that don't
Yes,
involve
I know. I
hacking.
know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so and being a consultant was great because I'm, naturally energetic and I love being able to talk to people and I love communicating. And so it just worked out. And I had amazing opportunities. I got to travel the world. I lived in London for few years. I came back, and I know COVID was really hard for people, but honestly, it was a blessing in disguise because it really made me slow down. And when I slowed down, I started thinking, okay, is this really what I want to do? I became a director at like 8 years into my career, which was amazing. I worked really hard. I kind of was like really grinding to climb that corporate ladder. And then I like took a step back and I was like, this is not fulfilling. Like I'm making the money I never thought I could dream of. And, I'm living this life, and I'm like, but I'm not helping anyone. Like, what do I have to show for it besides like making money? And so I really thought about like, how can I help? And ironically, before I started Cybersecurity Girl, I started realizing people's mental health was going kind of down the drain with COVID. So I got my nutritionist license within like certification within like a month, and it usually takes like 2 years, but I literally was night and day. Like I wasn't sleep. I like working a lot. I'm really good at like working off no sleep, which is not good.
And now, where
So
were you at this point? Where in the
in
world?
LA, I moved back to
So,
LA, and
okay.
I was like near family, and I just was like, this something's got to give. This is not what God's has in store for me, in my opinion. And so I was literally trying to like rack my brain of like, what can I do that's unique and different that I like can help use that to help people. So I first started the nutrition thing, and then like I got the certificate, and I started doing like live online workout classes for free for my followers and stuff. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have a big following. I just like more friends and family, just so they could have a workout in their room, because I really appreciate like physical and mental health. I think there's a huge correlation between what you eat and what you do for mental health. And I did that for a month, and I was like, this isn't it. This isn't. There's people that are doing way better at me than this. Like, this is not my specialty. I'm going to try to shift and move gears. So then I decided, okay, I've always really wanted more women in STEM. I really wish that there was a woman in engineering, but I had already seen a few profiles pop up on TikTok that were women in engineering that were doing an amazing job. And I was like engineering, I don't do engineering anymore. So I'm like, cybersecurity, like no one understands cyber. Like everyone is confused when I say I'm in cyber. I'm like, why don't I just do a profile that like gets more women in cyber and also teaches people like what cybersecurity is? Cause I was getting tired of like introducing myself and saying I work in cyber and having people be like, are you going to hack my phone? And it's like, no, I'm not going to hack your phone. I don't even know how to do that. So I'm part of cyber. So, yeah, Cybersecurity Girl happened. And the reason why it wasn't my name is because I was mortified for anyone that I worked with to find out. I
So
did
this
not.
was your secret identity. Cybersecurity Girl was your secret identity.
It was my secret identity for a whole like year and a half. I did not
And
tell anyone.
was there a moment that people just found out and your identity got cracked, or was
No,
it
no one found
organic?
out until I told them.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, because
yeah.
you didn't do videos? Did you? How did you do
No,
it
I
then? How
did
did people
videos,
not
but it
know?
meant like no one that I like. Obviously, my family knew because I told them that, but like no one that I worked with knew until I said
Okay.
like, hey, by the way, I actually have this channel. Um,
And where did you start? Did you start on YouTube? Did you start
Only
on
on TikTok, because the goal
only on
was to
TikTok?
get the next generation into a career in cyber. That was a goal.
Okay.
And the next generation was, in my opinion, on TikTok. And that was the other thing. Like cybersecurity and TikTok was super taboo. Like it was like, you don't go on TikTok as a cyber
Yeah.
expert. But I was like, I don't care. Like for me, it was worth that to get the next generation to see themselves as in a career in cyber. So
So at what point did you notice? So you start your TikTok channel.
yeah.
At what point did you notice an uptick? Like, oh, this is starting to catch steam here. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? What was it?
So maybe about a month and a half in, it started catching steam. I mean, I told myself I'm like an all or nothing kind of girl. I was like, I'm gonna post 3 times a day, every day for a year. And if nothing happens and I'm still like at, less than a certain amount of followers, then like maybe this is not it. And about a month in, I was getting like, viral-ish videos, but it wasn't until 3 months where I had my first viral video. I think it hit 700,000 within like a couple of days of 700,000 views, which at that point I had like not even that many that like maybe 10,000 followers. But that one video shot me up to like 70,000 followers. And then
What
it
was
just
that
like,
video on? What was it
it
about?
was how to check if your personal data has been leaked online. So it was going through, have I been pwned? And honestly, the reason why I almost took it down, one of the reasons why it went viral was because I said I mispronounced pwned.
How'd you
So
say
like
it?
I said pond.
Someone pawned you?
Yeah. Well, okay. I know what
I
pwned
love
is,
it.
but did you know that like did you know that it's spelled PWNED?
I don't know how any word is spelled. If you see, you don't
Exactly.
know me well enough to know this. I'm the worst speller in the world.
Same with
So
me. No,
yeah,
no,
I don't know.
terrible. ChatGPT is like the best thing in my life right now because of spelling and grammar. But I digress. No, so I always went to this website and I never pronounced it out loud because no one's ever said it to me. I just was sent from like a coworker like a long time ago. So when I was making this quick video, I was like, I don't know how to say this. And pwned is spelled PWNED. There's no O or anything. So I was like, pond? Like, cause I'm thinking like PAW, like, I don't know. I got destroyed by so many people. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is like my livelihood. I don't want people thinking I'm dumb. And my friend was like, Caitlin, you're still getting the right message across. It's still getting to the right people because people still are still going to that website and checking. And it's obviously did really well, but I almost took it down because I mispronounced it. And then there was a point where I was trying to play off like, oh, did I do it on purpose? Because there's a lot of guerrilla marketing when it comes to social media. Like I know people that mispronounce words on purpose just to get people in the chat being like, you mispronounced this, or like you said this wrong, or this, people love to critique and criticize online.
Of course they
So,
do. Of
yeah,
course they
I
do.
tried to play it off like I did it on purpose, and then I came out later being like, nah, I just didn't know how to spell, because I'm not a gamer, so I never had to spell pwned. Like I'm never like,
Yeah.
you got pwned,
You got hashtag you got pwned.
I mean,
Well, listen, I'm so glad that you just talked to me about that. My episode that came out, because I do 2 podcasts. I do the one that's on Tuesdays where it's just advice, right? Or recommendations. I don't really give advice, but it's short form. And then these long form ones will be on Thursdays starting in June. But the one that just came out was about owning your mistakes. Own the mistake and own it in public.
Yeah.
Own it in public. And you just did that. You just owned your mistake in public. Fantastic.
I'm like, no one's perfect. If you're gonna hate
No.
me, hate me. But I love when people are like, I'm unfollowing you. I'm like, if you see the metrics for like most influencers, the amount of unfollows is insane. Like we get like 200 to 1,000 unfollows a day. Like, I'm sorry, you're one unfollow. I don't even know you. Like, bye. Like, why do I care about your opinion? Like at the end of the day, if you make videos that are there to help other people, I could care less if you agree or disagree, because I know that my heart's in the right place when I'm making this, and it's like what I use and do, and I'm trying to help. So if you don't like it, then you can leave. I could care less.
There's a guy who I follow. I don't follow many people.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know you, I don't follow you, right? But there's one guy I do. And I mean and he goes by his thing he does on Instagram is the Corner Office. Corner with a K, because his last name is Corner. Okay.
Okay.
This guy, I think he lives in Utah. And he started this thing with great business ideas every day. Everything's for free. You cannot subscribe to his channel. His newsletter's free. Everything's free. Now he might have some agenda I don't know about. I've never met him, but he gives interesting advice. He's like, hey, here's an idea, and here's a free business plan. Just sign up for my newsletter and I'll give you the free business plan for this. I love this guy. He does great stuff. I think his name is Chris Corner. I think that's his name. Okay. And I follow him. Well, he's a man of faith. And every now and again he'll bring up God or Jesus in one of his posts or something like that. And then he'll make a post that says, it's amazing how many people unfollow me after I mention my faith, as if suddenly his advice is less valuable.
Yeah.
Because he believes in something that maybe you doubt or don't believe in. So to your point, if you overly concerned yourself with the however many people unfollowed you, and then you try to rectify it by delivering what you think they want, well, then you're going to lose more people because you're not pleasing them. Like you got to, I'm trying to remember who it was. Every artist has probably said this at some point, but I've only heard one person say it. Yeah. Don't write your music for your audience.
Yeah.
Don't try to please your audience. You got to write music from your soul. And then the people who like that music will gravitate towards your music. And then the people who don't like it will rail against your music, which will make other people say, oh, well, what's so bad about it? And then listen to it.
Well, and the other thing is, I know I mentioned like when I was first starting cyber, like, oh, there were other channels that like did it that I thought would be, I don't want that to deter people from, because there's channels now about everything, right? And like there's now tons of people that are trying to do what I do or doing what I do, doing a great freaking job. And I'm so excited. Like I would hope, like for me personally, I'm like, I want people to do what I do, because the whole point of what I do is to get more women in cyber, to educate the public, and to help. If more people are doing it, that means more people are being helped. I could care, like in my world, everyone succeeds. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't want you to succeed, or they think that there's like, only one person can succeed. So because of that, I think when a lot of people are like, oh, I always wanted to, but there's already accounts that do XYZ. It's like, you have such a unique opinion and a perspective and everything that you've done in life that, like, if you are putting out content that is, again, what you think is best, not what you think your followers are, then you're going to do well. But if you're doing it for other people or copying other people's kind of like viral videos, then it's not going to do well, because it's disingenuous, and someone else is already doing it. But if you bring your unique perspective to it, like you're gonna do so well, and it's needed. Like there's so many cool there's so many cool like social media channels that it's like I didn't even know that was like. Did you know there's like a channel that like rebuilds old toys? And it's literally like
No, and there's
it's so
probably like
cool.
5 of them.
There's so many. There's
Yeah,
one that rebuilds old like arcade games, one that rebuilds old kids' toys, one
I
I
love
mean,
it.
there's so many awesome channels and there's so many unique spins on things. As long as you show up as your full self with like everything that you've learned, and like you're putting out videos that one you're proud of and two that you think is going to like help or change or bring a different perspective, then you're doing the like a great job, and you should not care about what like people are like, "Oh, have you seen your comments?" I'm like, "I pull up
But you see, but here's the hard part about that. I agree with you, but here's my pushback. Social media success is often gauged by little hearts.
right.
It's gauged by comments. It's gauged by this. And so it's very difficult for people, I think, at times to read a comment that's negative, that's disparaging, and to see, wow, 5,000 people unfollowed me. And it's very difficult for people to not take that personally, you know? So, it's a learning curve. It's
Oh, for
interesting.
sure.
You said, I want to get more women in cybersecurity. Here's what a lot of people heard when you said that. There need to be less men in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
That's what they heard.
Which is sad
But
because I actually advocate the opposite. I
yeah,
actually the last podcast I was on, I just said like I actually do not like the D&I initiative because the D&I initiative makes women feel extra imposter syndrome because we're like, did we get hired because we were a check the box, or did we actually get hired because we deserve to be here? I think that we need to train every single person. Everyone should have equal ability to learn and get the skills needed for a job. And then you pick the right person from a culture fit for the job, not a diversity hire, not a woman because it's a woman. If a man is better than a woman for the job, then you need to pick the man. Like I am so polar opposite of like, hey, we need a certain amount of women. Like I just think it's BS. I just want more. I want women to see themselves here because I know for me, I did not see myself in cyber because there was no
yeah,
one to look up to. That is not saying I want a woman to take the role of a man. That is the opposite. I actually love working with men and I love working with women. I have a twin brother, so I'm like, I go both. Like it's great. But I'm the opposite because I actually saw for me, my brother was as a lawyer, and and he's technically like we're white. We're like we don't really fit into like a ethnic category, so we put white. And he was having a really, really hard time, back 5, 6 years ago when the DNI initiative was like really hitting hard, getting a job. He was like, all these women or, diversity are getting hired over me because I'm a white man. And I also like saw like my dad had to switch jobs and it was so hard for him being like an older white male. He was like, I'm getting passed up by people that are like diversity that have literally a quarter of the experience I do because
mhm,
I'm like an old white man. And that is like, that hurts my heart. Like, that is so inappropriate to me. And it's disgusting that
yeah.
we got to that
It's
point.
the problem is that it's not it's opportunity that's the playing field that needs to be leveled.
Right.
Opportunity. But
Right.
opportunity begins with education. And so you're not going to see instant return on investment. You're not going to see an instant change because there needs to be an educational equality so that people, for example, you're a well-educated woman from a to-do family who still had misconceptions about cybersecurity. So imagine someone who is not from a family who is a traditional we go to college family who doesn't have a great education. Imagine what their misconceptions of cybersecurity can be. So it all comes down from that education. I want to talk to you about the shift that you made because you made a big shift, and I'm going to embarrass you like 5 times before we're done.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm not
but I
embarrassed anymore.
but I need to
Get
give
embarrassed me.
you I need to give you credit for something.
Oh boy. That will embarrass me.
You posted on LinkedIn about 2 months ago. I'm thinking of changing things up. Should I start a newsletter? Should I start a podcast? Do you remember this post?
Yep.
Okay. And one of the people commented, Caitlin, I am subscribed to like 100 newsletters and I get 100 requests to subscribe every month. And I'm interested in them, but I don't have time to read them. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast. And I started the podcast because of that guy's comment on your post. And I realized what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to write my Tuesday newsletter, but I'm also going to record a more robust version of it so that the people who still want to read it can read it, but then the people who are in the gym or driving or whatever can listen to it. And I never would have done it. Well, maybe I would have, but maybe it would have taken me months without your post and that guy's comment. So I don't know who that guy is, so you get all the credit.
Yeah, thanks to the guy. I don't know who it is. I actually remember reading that comment too, and I was like, "That's interesting."
Yeah, because you don't have the time, you know. But it's six of one, half dozen another. Because if I'm reading something and my mind wanders, I could just say, what did I do? And then just go back and reread it.
Yeah.
But with a podcast, if your mind is wandering, because people when they're listening to a podcast are usually multitasking. Because if you're driving, that should be your first level of concentration, not the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So you're usually multitasking, so it's easy to miss good content in the podcast. So thank you for that. Thank you for your query on LinkedIn.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this long form interview format is me attempting to identify, if you haven't already, what's your genius, what's your brilliance, how did you recognize what it was in order for you to find the happiness, the fulfillment, the success that you have now. You've made a number of shifts. I mean, you shifted from a Palm Pilot probably to a BlackBerry, and then from your BlackBerry went to an iPhone, and you're probably on. Yeah. Listen, one of those. They brought the stylus back. I think the other phone. Yeah, something has the stylus again. Anyway, so you've made a number of shifts. How did you recognize? What is your genius? What are 2-3 things that you're just great at? Just phenomenal. You're better than most.
So I don't think I'm better than most on anything. I think the thing that makes me different is I am really good at being in uncomfortable positions, and I constantly put myself in uncomfortable positions until I feel comfortable. And then the other thing is like I really try to follow my heart. So like even a lot of people have like a specific plan, right? I need to get to this, and this, and this, and they climb. And that's what I used to do. Honestly, I was like, I'm going to be the first director, first, partner at EY to do X, Y, Z. And then I was like, what? Like, why is that the goal? Like, I think the goal is if you constantly improve every day, like get 1% better every day, and you're waking up every morning, like with a passion to help, and you're like putting yourself in positions maybe uncomfortable, like being on social media was so uncomfortable for me for 2 years, but I like knew that there was a bigger purpose. And it wasn't, oh, I'm trying to reach this goal. Because if you told me 4 years ago when I first started that this was the goal, I would have been like, what are you talking about? That like I would have never thought that I'd be like a social media influencer. And I think the key is like you don't know what you don't know. Just trust, like have faith in yourself, and uncomfortability is like the best thing ever.
Okay. So
And question everything.
So being on social media for 2 years was very uncomfortable for you. Give me another example of a situation that you inserted yourself into. You did it intentionally. That was uncomfortable. You had no delusions. You knew I'm not going to like this, but you did it. Give me another example.
I mean, I'm always like that. So like I went to SMU my freshman year, and I changed majors, and I lost part of my scholarship because I changed into engineering. And because of that, I decided it would be best for me to transfer, even though I did not want to transfer. Transferring stunk, and I knew it was going to stink. And that was an extremely uncomfortable position for me to put myself in. I could have stayed content at SMU, like done my thing and stayed there. I had a great time. I cheered at SMU. I went from like being a big fish to being like an absolute nobody at USC, and transferring, you also don't like have a lot of friends, and it's a whole thing. So like that put me in an uncomfortable position. I mean, I was constantly in uncomfortable positions. I worked weird jobs, not like uncomfortable jobs, but like I always, you know, worked really hard. Like I had 3 jobs in college. I also requested to take extra classes in school. So I took like way more than I was supposed to take as an engineer too. So I took like 7 classes a semester to try to like graduate earlier. As also being a transfer, some of my transfer credits didn't, they weren't transfer credits, so I had to like, I lost some of the stuff I learned. So I was like, I want to graduate on time. I want to do all this stuff. And I would constantly, yeah, like I never really realized I put myself in uncomfortable positions until 2 years ago, and someone was like, yeah, you just like putting yourself in these positions. Like you didn't have to transfer, you didn't have to, you know, work these labs. You could have like had an easy life at USC. You didn't have to start your social media. Um, yeah. I also moved abroad, which like I had to start from scratch. Like there's a lot of things that I just kind of do the hard things. Sometimes
So you, so there's other, I could reframe that,
yeah,
that you see opportunities
yeah,
and you explore them. You
yeah.
explore the
Even
opportunities.
if I don't know where they're gonna go.
Yeah. And even if you say, listen, I'm going to, for example, you said, I'm going to post 3 times a day for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, hey, let me try this for a week and see if I like it. It's, I'm going to do this for a year. That's a good sample size. I'll see if I like it. But I'd be willing to bet, and I don't know you that well, that if after 4 or 5 months you said, I hate this, you would have stopped doing it. You would have said, listen, I said a year, but I don't like it.
Yeah,
So here's some illumination for you. The vast majority of people can't do that.
yeah. I
They
realize
can't
that now.
do what you just described. They can have the idea, but they can't follow through with it. And so to you, that seems like not a big deal because you're brilliant at it.
Yeah. So I guess now that you say that, my superpower is like ownership. Like if I say I'm going
Look
to
at
do
that.
something, I'm going to do it. And I didn't realize up until like a couple years ago that like people don't do that. And it used to drive me insane because I always get people come up to me being like, "Oh, I wish I could do this." And I'm like, "Then do it." Like I don't
Mhm.
understand what's stopping you. Like are you scared? Are you and then I like, try to debunk that and like hope that they do it, but eventually like a lot of people just don't. Like I'm a woman of my own word. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to sit there and complain about it. I'm not going to be like, oh, I wish X, Y, Z. It's like I do wish X, Y, Z, so I'm going to do this, and that is, to be fair. Thanks for reminding me. That is my superpower. I realize
Yeah.
that.
So
I'm really
the
good at that.
being able to identify that and put into words like you just did,
Yeah.
your ability to recognize that. So I'm trying to remember who the coach was. Oh, I can't even remember the sport. It'll come to me. Anyway, uh, he said that once you become a champion, you are instantly 30% better. Oh, it was the boxing uh, Tony Atlas, or I don't remember his first name, but Atlas, and one of the great boxing trainers of all time. Okay, and he said once you become a champion, you are instantly 30% better because you've gotten through the mindset block. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Can I do this? Can I beat that person? Can I do it? But then once you've done it, suddenly that stuff that was internally holding you back, it's gone.
Yeah.
So your ability to continuously find success, how you define it, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
in different aspects on things that you've never done before, that's created a confidence in you that you could do something else.
100%.
Most people cannot do that. So, how have you managed to continue to double down on that? I mean, you have, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have close to 2 million followers, right?
Yeah.
That's that's more than a few. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, how do you continue to say I'm going to keep doing this?
So, well, the one thing that you talked about is like people think I make like lofty goals, right? They're like, oh, goals are really lofty. I'm like, to you, they're reasonable goals to me, and I fully believe if I put my whole heart and soul and I'm literally doing it for the right reasons, then I can reach whatever goal. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to, fly to the moon. Although I did want to do. Anyways, that's a whole different story. But I really strongly believe that like if I want something for the right reasons, there is literally no stopping me from doing that, and I'm going to figure out a way. Like it's just not going to. It's going to happen. Like but if I realize like halfway through, like that's maybe not what maybe that wasn't what I actually want, or that's not what's going to be helpful. Maybe I need to like shift gears. I'm also open to shifting. I'm not going to be like stuck in like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this heads down. Don't do anything else. Like I don't always have blinders on, but um yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up. Of like I have this like people think like certain goals are lofty, but if you have the right mindset of like you're a winner, and like if you're doing it for the right reasons, like I strongly believe that you can reach whatever you need to reach. And then sorry, I totally forgot your question.
It's no big deal, because I have another question. How do you decide the right reasons? You say, if I'm going to do it for the right reasons, what are the right reasons? Do you have a set of principles, a set of moral values that help you with your decision-making process?
Yes. That's a hard thing about being an influencer too, because I do have moral values. I wish I could like be okay with doing like clickbaity videos. There's so many of those. The last thing I want to do is like scare people. Like the whole goal of a video is to help people, right? And it's not to scare them.
Well, for you, the whole goal. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, tell them what's going on, see, like in a relatable way, like how can they relate to this, what they need to do, and how they can fix it. That needs to be done in every video, pretty much. Because I'm not going to be like doing a scary video and be like, all right, you're off on your own, you can't do anything about it, or do a. There's so much like news, like fake news, clickbait news that I get sent. Like, oh, well, can you do a report on this? I'm like, I'm not going to report this because this is going to just like freak people out. So for me, it's like morally, it needs to be helpful for someone, and it needs to be like not that scary. It because again, I'm trying to make cybersecurity not scary. There are things that can be scary, like oh, there's a data breach, so like but it's like how do you fix that? Like okay, we're scared. What can you do? So for me, it's like as long as I'm constantly providing value and not being like clickbaity, that is my moral compass. It's like I'm not gonna like partner with a company that like I get messages all the time. Like, I just actually had to turn down a very legit company because I actually didn't trust their data privacy practices, and I turned down like 15 grand to do for a video for them because I'm like, I don't want to. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing this myself. I'm not going to send my followers to do it. So it just depends. I mean, the other issue is like a lot of people want to be influencers and they just want to be influencers to like make money. Like they don't really have a reason. They just like want to be famous. And
Sure.
I totally fine too. That is not the reason why I started my social media. That's the opposite of what I wanted to do. And so it just depends. Like for me, again, my purpose, if you do it with the right reasoning, for me, the right reasoning is like to help. Again, there's three pillars of why I started: demystify what cybersecurity is as a career, teach people how to be safe online, and get women to see themselves as in a career in STEM. And those, like, as long as I stick by those principles, and every video is about that, then I'm okay.
You know, I think people have wanted to be famous as long as fame was a concept. The thing is, today we have a device in our pockets that we believe can create instant fame.
It definitely can.
It can, exactly. But it can, and it will are two very different things. And so, but unless you try something, it's never going to happen, right? Like you can think about winning the lottery as much as you want, but if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. So, so you're an influencer. You influence people. How do you leverage your notoriety online to get speaking engagements, to get engagements in person? How do you do that?
I don't. Everything that I've ever gotten, all the speaking engagements, all the deals, inbound only. They have come to me. I've never reached out to anyone to do speaking or deals or anything like that. So I guess I'm not like leveraging my notoriety in that sense, but like because I do have notoriety, it's already bringing and attracting them to me, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then do you have aspirations to create any type of business to create like a cybersecurity consulting firm and to get to the next step in your evolution?
Yeah. So I've thought like long and hard about this for so long because everyone always asks like, how are you monetizing? How are you monetizing? And it's like, okay, like I constantly believe and firmly believe that if you build a trustworthy brand, that it doesn't matter what you end up doing, you can sell whatever you need to sell or do whatever you need to do. I don't want to do cyber consulting because I don't want to trade time for money and I don't want to like build that out. Like to be honest, I think one of the biggest blessings I've gotten being able to create this was to have time and to stop that corporate grind and to like be more in my feminine and slow down and really enjoy like all the little things about life. And so, I've been able to like found an amazing person and like I won't really want to start my family and I am bad at separating like the corporate grind and a life, right? So right now I really feel like I have a really good balance. So the last thing I really do, the last thing I want to do is like start like a consulting arm. What I
Sure.
would ideally want to do is, and what I'm going to do is, so I have a cyber career club, and that's more like a mentorship club. It's going to be very different from any other like training program because to be honest, I think all the cybersecurity training is terrible. It's like spend $10,000, get a certificate, good luck on getting a job. Like it's really bad, and there's not a lot of programs that show both sides of the coin with cyber. Most of them are geared towards like hacking and coding, and that's like not what I'm trying to get. So I'm building that career club, and it's more around community and mentoring. So that's a thing, and I'm excited about that. But the other thing I'm really excited about is more of like the media. Like I really want to build like an entire like media company. So like similar to like what Barstool Sports did. I don't know if you
Hmm.
know David
Yeah.
Portnoy and Barstool
Yeah.
Sports. I really want to build like that out for the cybersecurity kind of community, right? So I'm currently looking for like people that I can ask to like pull in to like do other podcasts and like have different aspects of cybersecurity handled. Ideally for me personally, like on top of like managing that kind of media arm, like I do my own podcast. The newsletters it's in the process of getting started too. And then my ultimate goal, even when I started this, and I always come back to it, is I really want a kids STEM education show, like on Netflix or Amazon. Like I'm not in this for money. Um, Ideally, I'd love to make money, but I really, really just want to be that like trusting brand. And I partner with like certain companies where I can recommend because I recommend services all the time. So I get affiliate kind of deal stuff with that, but ideally I think for me it would be making a kids TV show and like making it fun and
Yeah.
understandable and relatable to because kids are being taught or kids are getting tablets every day before they can even speak. Like no one's really
I
telling
know.
them what to do, and then all the training around it has been kind of scary. And like it's more like a Bill and I the Science Guy, but for like tech and
Sure.
cyber. And cyber is going to be like a part of it too. But like, I mean, how much are you going to teach cyber to your kids besides like passwords? And so I really want that. Like, I want like a kind of like a media arm, to build. So that's kind of in the process for this summer is like when I'm heads down, kind of figuring that out.
Well, I can help you with that.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what I'll do. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to some other people that can that because if you're looking to create more podcasts stuff like that, I'll introduce you to some very because you know a lot of people in cyber, and I know a lot of people in cyber.
Yeah.
The only problem is many of them have to get permission from their organization if they're going to do something. But I know some people who have stepped out of it and this and that. Um, and then as far as the show, I can absolutely help you with that. But I'm going to introduce you to the guy. I had another guest on last week, and he said something very similar to what you said. He's in real estate. He came out to LA, and I don't know if his interview will be before yours or after yours. So who knows, right? So, old friend of mine, he was in LA to be an actor. He didn't like it. He didn't like waiting tables, so he took a real estate course to get his real estate license. He got it, but the school was garbage. It's like you just said, all this training is garbage. So what did he do? He started his own school, and now that's what he does. And he owns the fastest growing real estate school in the country.
Yeah.
And he didn't go to school for real estate. He was an actor. So I'm going to put the two of you in touch because maybe, just maybe, he can give you some insights on how you can change cybersecurity education.
Yeah.
And I know you're not in it for the money, but you might make a lot of money.
Yeah. I know people are always like, sell high ticket courses. And I'm like, I don't want to trade time for money. And I really value people's money and I value people's time. And I don't want to take like, 10, 15 grand, have them expect that they're going to get like some crazy thing from me and then they get disappointed. Like, I don't want to trade
But
my
here's the
hours.
thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this because the people listening to this is also going to benefit them. You talked about in the very beginning when we started talking how much you wanted children. But one of the hard things about children is that it kills you. Like, you've got to let them fall. You've got to let them this. If you create something that has value, it truly has value, and somebody buys it and they invest in it, and you provide them what you said you would provide them, it is not your responsibility to make sure that they get a job. If somebody gets a $300,000 to $500,000 degree at a university, and I'm not advocating you do that, but if they do, and all their professors are well intended and they do all the things and they get their degree, you don't know how lazy that person's going to be when they leave. Like, I am a consultant. And one of the things I learned is my clients' problems are not my problems. So when they bring me in to help them, we contract and I do it. So I get where you're coming from because you're a caring, genuine, awesome person who anybody would be lucky to have as a friend. And you have value to provide. What someone does with that value is not your responsibility.
Yeah. I'm starting off with low ticket offer. Like, I'm like 27 a month because
There, that's great.
It's to get people in, and I want
Yeah, that's great.
office hours, and it's fine. I think that's where I feel comfortable, and then like in the future.
But remember, Caitlin, your superpower is jumping into things outside of your comfort zone.
This is outside.
Oh, Shaka Khan. I told you I was gonna make it.
Kind of tunnel vision because there's so I mean, you probably get it. There's so many opportunities you can chase, and it's like if you keep trying to chase everything, then you're
No,
and so
that's why.
like do smaller things at a time.
Yeah, that's why you have to have a vision, a mission, and you have to have your values because that's your decision making process. If you just chase opportunities, you're going to get pulled in 15 different directions. You're going to lose focus. One of them might hit, but by doing that, you sacrifice what you were doing it for in the first place. And so a decision making process is vital to any organization, whether you're a solo person like you and I, or if you have thousands of employees. So before we go, tell me one major mistake that you made in your journey as cybersecurity girl, like something that, wow, that was the wrong thing to do. But had you not done it, you wouldn't have learned all the things you learned. Hashtag own the mistake.
I just like don't believe in mistakes. I believe that you messed up. But
Oh, so you're from the Bob Ross school. It's a happy accident.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things in my life where I'm like, probably should have done that. I think at the beginning it was like reading the comments and like feeling really bad about like some of the comments that I would read and like questioning whether I should do it. And the other thing is like similar to what we talked about, like I've been doing this for 4 years now, and I've been trying to figure out like how I'm going to monetize, and I would get like pulled into so many different directions, and then I'm like, wait, this isn't the right thing. This isn't the right thing. And so I think sometimes I wish I had a little bit more direction when I started. Like I had the 3 pillars of like what I wanted, but because there's so many opportunities, like I not like niche, not like I can literally kind of hit everything that I was chasing a lot of not chasing like a lot of opportunities were coming to me, and I was kind of like following those leads, and I think it kind of got me distracted from a lot of other things. So I think those are two of the probably the biggest is like I would read people's comments and feel like really bad or get like really. Also, I kind of wish I had started LinkedIn earlier.
Oh, I remember you told me that when I first met you, that you were just kind of starting in on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything on LinkedIn. I was like, I don't want anyone knowing. Like, and I was just embarrassed. I'm like, this isn't like cybersecurity content technically. So, yeah, those are like 3 things. I wish I kind of started and I didn't care as much about other people's opinions at the beginning, and then yeah, I kind of more focused on how I can best build something out versus like adding on to other people's opportunities. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. People can find you at Cybersecurity Girl across platforms, right?
Yep. Or cybersecurtygirl.com too.
Yeah. I mean, it's your website. So 1, 2, 3, everyone right now, type into your browser cybersecuritygirl.com and check her out. Thank you so much for taking the time to join Making Business Personal. It's such a treat to have a. Last time we had a conversation, it was in a very, very, very loud bar, and it was
Years ago.
yeah, it was rough. No, it was a year and a few months. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was March or May or April something 24, I think.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
Seems like a while.
So. Well, it was great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
All right. See you later.